Welcome to Look Behind the Look, the new podcast that examines iconic looks in film, television, music, and fashion history. I'm your host, Tiffany Bartok. Hi, everyone. I'm not going to waste a lot of time bantering here because this week's guest is so exciting that I know you don't want me to waste any time getting to our interview. I've been wanting to interview Sam Fine, yes, Sam Fine, ever since I was interviewing people for the Kevin documentary, and I finally chased him down, and I'm honored to share our conversation with you. This is a lengthy interview because this man is a legend. I don't need to tell you that Sam's career is enormous. There are few artists who have done what he's done and who just keep going. For example, this interview was done between his days on set with Queen Latifah on the Equalizer, and I'm just grateful that he had some time to share with me. Sam's book is iconic. It is in everyone's beauty library, and if it's not, get it. It needs a reprint, by the way, publishing companies that are listening. It is an incredible how-to book with his techniques and some of the most beautiful faces in the world. They're Sam's longtime loyal clients, and they include Patti, LaBelle, and Vanessa Williams, Queen Latifah, Tyra Banks, Naomi Campbell. He's done legendary campaigns with them and countless more. Halle Berry, Brandy. There's also a few surprises in our interview. Like, did you know that he worked with Bjork? That was new to me. We talk about his career here, his upbringing, and of course we dive into his philosophies, and he provides beautiful advice not only for artists, but for human beings. I have to say, I didn't edit anything that we talked about out. Now this means that you're going to hear my dog's bell ding near the end because he wanted some attention, so that's very embarrassing. Apologies. But Sam deserves his own documentary, that's for certain. But thank goodness this is a podcast because I'm able to share with you everything we talked about. So grab a snack because I promise you won't want to miss anything that this legend has to say. Hello, Sam. Thank you for joining me. Finally, I have been hot on your tail. I'm so happy that we are finally here talking. I have to tell you, I have been straight up nervous. I am. And my mother watches these and she's like, you seem so nervous. I'm like, I'm never nervous. I'm just excited to talk to the people,
Then thank you. Then say excited.
Excited. Okay. All right. So I have been extra excited to talk to you because I've been going to, since we picked a date, I have been going to my Sam Fine school again, but I've always been enrolled in your school. I have worshipped you from afar for my entire development into a lady. And you have been a huge part of my beauty identity, growing up. And I just
only second to Kevin Aquan, I'm sure.
Well, no, not second. There's no place now. There's
Look,
no place.
I'll take
and
it.
Truth be told, yours was the first book that I bought. So I know because I grew up in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, wow.
It was Powell's Books, and I don't know if you've ever been to Powell's. It takes up like 4 blocks. It's called City of Books, and it was like the place that we all hung out. And your book was prominently displayed, and I always loved Makeup Through Theater was how I came to it.
Yes.
And that cover, I mean, it was like, if I were to ever teach myself how to do this every day, that would be the way that I would do it because it was an iconic cover and still is. It just had a birthday, the book.
At 23 years old.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Well, now we've both told everybody how old we are. So
oh, please. I have to tell you, there's so many people who come up to me now and say, my mom bought me your book when I was 10.
Oh no.
I grew up, flipping through this book as I was in kindergarten. And I'm like, wow. It's a testament to timeless work and really everything just coming together so beautifully. That cover, I couldn't have asked for a better cover and a better day, a better model, a better photographer, a better hairstylist, a better creative director to just contribute to something that I still look to as a beacon of my
everyone does. Everyone in the industry does. And, it was definitive. And, I was looking at it with, yesterday, I was on a set with a girl that I've known since she was 19. She's a makeup artist, but she, I've known her since she first started in the business, and she and I were looking through the book together, and I was like,
What's her name?
her name's Kemi.
What's that, Kimmy?
Kemi, yes, she's
Cammy.
definitely
Cammy.
Kemi, Kemi. And she is absolutely listening today. And she and I were looking through the book, and she was like, and we were looking at that cut crease. And that was, I said, this is like what people say iconic, but this was iconic. And I remember working at the Mac counter, and we would open it up and recreate it. You know what I mean? And like, what do you feel when you see that being replicated on people? You know, that's your eye. That's your eye.
Everyone has a signature.
Yeah.
I say it in every class, every interview, everyone has a signature. And having been an illustrator, you know, having drawn all my life, a cut crease to me was the illustration, is the illustrator in me. It's like, you know, drawing a lip line and being able to find that crease and really blow it out and bring it into the nose and drag it out into the wing and line it and just create this faux space. You know, sometimes it doesn't exist. So
Yes.
it's to me the greatest compliment when people notice things like that. But it's just it becomes a signature because it's something that I enjoy doing.
Yes, and people enjoy replicating it over and over and over again. And what Kemi was talking about when she was looking through everything was that she was saying, I've heard of Sam. So she's older now. She's like 28 now, right? She's heard of Sam since, because, you know, she knows me so well. And so I'm very adamant about letting her know history. And, you know, she obviously knows your current work. I mean, you're still working every day. Like come on, you're here, you work
Still out here. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we're just talking about the beginning of an amazing career. And she was saying to me something so interesting that I wanted to talk to you about. She said, you know, when you yell at me because I don't know references, or I don't know that it was Sam that created, I'm telling her as we're looking through the book, why don't you have this book? I'm yelling at her. Why don't you have this book? Why did you never get this book? She says, you never got it for me. Okay. Right. You never got it from me. And
that's not how you respond.
well, no, I mean, but what she's saying is, where am I going to learn? Where am I going to learn this stuff? She says my generation is spending so much time being mad. You know what I mean? That the kids don't know, but we're not teaching them, right? So how do we tell them?
This isn't a conversation. I mean, you know, my best friend, Joseph Hampton, who a wonderful makeup artist who actually helped me transition from being an illustrator to a makeup artist, along with assisting Fran Cooper and Kevin Aquan. But prior to that, Joseph helped me understand the people in the industry that I should know, and not because he felt I should know them, but because they were important to the industry. You don't just know who the makeup artists are, you know who the photographers are, you know what kind of lighting they prefer, you know what kind of makeup speaks to their work, you know what type of hairstylists work together. You've got to know Scavullo and Kevin and Orbe, how specific their work was together. Myself, Oscar James, working with Matthew Jordan Smith or Keith Major, you know, on specific celebrities. That's the trifecta that you study, because every makeup artist knows that the photographer is translating our work. So that kind of unspoken communication is so important, and it comes across in the final product.
Right.
So it's more than an Instagram post. It's more than a throwback Thursday. It's delving into the history of the people who established these looks, because we will always pull them up. Way Bandy and Roxana Floyd and Reggie Wells. These are people's work that you go back to reference, you know, and you add your spin to it today. That's all that makeup is. I don't think that it is ever being reinvented. I just think there are different different
Iterations.
times, different iterations
Mm-hmm,
of
mm-hmm.
what becomes the look of that moment.
Right, right, right. So it's an evolution that we need to know what the root of that evolving is. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes, yes. It's more than a throwback Thursday. I love that. Yeah, that's the only way that people are learning about history is from throwback
Please,
Thursdays.
please don't say that. I mean, honestly, I have to say, I'm so happy every time someone asks me, where can I buy your book? And of course it's out of print, so you have to, go to Amazon.com and get new and used. But the point to that is that it still continues to inspire.
Yes,
I'm sure that's
yes.
true for Kevin Aquan and Bobby Brown and so many of the books. And I'm a collector, not just of makeup books, but of art books and fashion books and photography books, because there's so much inspiration that's there. I don't
Mm.
just need to look at a makeup book to be inspired. I think it's the clothes, the hair, the model. That's what supermodels really were. They're an inspiration to us all that helped us think differently about beauty.
Yes, yes. And you were the key for thinking differently, I think. You so which leads me to a little well, I to end that story, I sent Kemi the book. So
Yes,
I made
yes,
sure she has
yes.
it. So when we were very inspired yesterday looking through it. But I don't know if you can see. Yes, you can. Okay. So you're gonna be able to see this. And then when we fix this, I'm gonna have it properly.
Properly, yes.
Okay. So let me see.
Sam Fine too is major for me. Sam Fine. Do you know Sam Fine? Sam Fine. Do you know? We know you remember Making Faces, right? Oh my gosh, major. But Sam Fine too is major for me. Sam Fine. Do you know Sam Fine?
Oh yeah.
Sam Fine.
It's my husband.
His book's called Fine Beauty. He's an African American makeup artist, and he sort of pioneered like new techniques for painting women of color. He's major. You should look into Sam Fine.
I will. You were awesome. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks.
I had to share that with you because I've been dying. That's from 2015. And let me just tell you the story about this. So my husband, I sent him on a wild goose chase to an event to go ask all of these people that were going to be on a red carpet. And I knew Laverne was going to be there. So I said, honey, you have to go and you're press and you're going to ask people, for the Kevin documentary.
Yes.
You're going to ask people about Kevin. And Laverne was like, well, yes, Kevin inspired me, but it was Sam Fine. And Jace was like, oh, and so my poor husband who has no idea what's going on, he's like texting me. He's like, I'm talking to Laverne. She's here next. I said, okay, that's great. That's great. But she credited her whole world to you and, just pouring over your books. And I always wanted to show you that because I saw that you got to meet her finally. You had been like, distant loving each other.
I was working on a job with Queen Latifah, and Laverne was there, and I knew her hairstylist, Kaya Wright, and I had met her makeup artist, Lady Deja, and I was just like, do you guys think I could say hello? And I'm a fan of so many, and she was just so lovely and just has always been so supportive. And knowing that when I did the book, and so much of what my career has been about is purpose, finding purpose, thinking about legacy and leaving something behind, because we never know how long we have, as Kevin is proof of that. And to be able to embrace women of color and dedicate my career to beautifying women of color has always been so special to me, and special and unique, coming from, having a mom and three sisters at home and being the youngest and only boy. It's always been something that was a part of, me growing up, is honoring these beautiful Black women, and for that to be, my legacy. I when I hear things like that, and Laverne talks so passionately about my work, it's humbling, really.
Oh, well, I mean, you are the most humble. It's ridiculous. If I were you, I would just like walk around with a sign like I'm Sam Fine. This is and that's
I have my moments. I have my moments.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear it. So you were you adopted? Did I understand? Yes, I'm remembering this correctly. Okay. So you were adopted, but grew up in Chicago or near Chicago?
Chicago. I was born in Evanston, Illinois, and my parents adopted me. They got me when I was like 6 months. So they're my parents. I have 3 sisters who are natural to my parents, and they wanted a boy.
Okay.
And so
Aw.
they got me. And grew up in Chicago on the South Side. It was a wonderful experience being in the Midwest. My mom used to sew clothes for my sisters. She used to do their hair. And watching that, I think culturally is just an experience that, you want to take part in. And I used to always ask them, I used to pay them to do their hair. And just like, could I style your hair? But, I was also an illustrator and I was always drawing. And so that led me to get a scholarship at the Art Institute of Chicago. And that's when things really started to click for me, my junior year in high school, because my parents, obviously, my mom and dad, my mom was a homemaker and took care of us. That was her job. And my dad was an electrician at a university. And, they didn't know that art could be a career.
Of
This
course.
was before, everyone became an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So
a lot of concern, I'm sure. Yes.
And
have a backup.
Backup, please. He was just like, look, you're going to have a family like me one day. You're going to need to support them. You need a job that has great benefits and something that will give you a pension. And if you pass on, that will give your wife at the time or partner now a life to enjoy. And, going to the Art Institute and having a African-American male teacher, Craig Rex Perry, a wonderful illustrator, it just hit everything that I needed to see. And to make this whole art thing real.
Wow.
So that was wonderful. And so after I graduated as a senior, I moved to New York to go to Parsons and took a job at a cosmetic counter just to make ends meet. I just thought it would be a fun job, honestly.
Honestly, that picture of you at the cosmetics counter is the most joy I have ever seen in someone's face. It is. And, I talk about this nonstop. I'm so bad. I'm such a Gen Xer, but like no one understands counter life and like that family and that community. It is
a real school of beauty.
Right.
You will not go on to work with a celebrity client that you have not met a real woman at the counter who's not that woman. Those same concerns, those same highs, those same lows, those same insecurities, those same beautiful features that you have to continue to accentuate and promote. So for me, it was the best training ground. It really was. And it's funny enough that I know 2 other makeup artists that we all met at the A&S department store, and we all have careers in makeup to this day.
Oh my goodness, I love that story. I love that story. I can't remember which counter was it?
Naomi Sims.
Okay.
Naomi Sims Cosmetics. It was their first. And Naomi Sims, of course, the first Black supermodel. So it was wonderful to have that opportunity. I always tell people that she was kind of like the Bobbi Brown of Black makeup. The cosmetic line. She was the first to do like yellow and olive tones, and all the supermodels would come by this one counter. It was their only counter where they sold makeup. And of course, this is pre-internet. You couldn't order things. So you had to go in physically and buy stuff. And we would get all the top girls come in from the Paris runways, and celebrities and top makeup artists. And that's where I met a lot who would come by to stock their kits. So that was really fun.
So was that your entree into that world? What happened? Okay.
It's always a hairdresser. And I tell people, let me back up a minute. When I moved to New York, I had a wonderful hairdresser. I call him my dad, James Harris, has worked, in Paris and worked for Vogue and done all these wonderful things. And he's the one who introduced me to the people at Naomi Sims Cosmetics.
Oh, okay.
And he just thought, Sam will be great at this, whatever. And he believed in me so much that he introduced me to Audrey Smaltz, and I started dressing fashion shows.
Oh.
Her very famous ground crew. You have to be, this goes back to research, though. This goes back to knowing the people in the industry that you're going to connect with at one time or another. I never thought that I would be doing makeup. So when I was assisting dressing the shows and being able to watch kind of the the layout of what shows are really like and understanding the energy of what goes into it, that's information for me. And as a makeup artist, I definitely took that when I started assisting Kevin Aquan at the fashion shows, and bringing that kind of knowledge. I wasn't unprepared for it.
Right. What brought you from illustration into makeup? What was
The
it?
cosmetic counter.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, but you still continued to draw.
I did. I wanted to be an illustrator. I
Oh.
thought that I would go to Parsons. I thought that I was very interested in fashion, but makeup kind of eclipsed that for me. I was still doing, illustration, even in Chicago, I was doing some windows, these huge life-size illustrations for Chanel and different things. But makeup just kind of took off for me. And I think that New York, one of the reasons why I love it so much and recently returned to New York is because of the energy. There are so many people who are doing so many wonderful things and gifted at doing so many wonderful things, that it was an inspiration to me to pursue makeup.
Right. And I guess it makes sense because you're at the counter, you're earning money for it. You're, every day doing it. I mean, it really is the best school. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, the people are expecting, they come in with these iconic wishes. I was just talking to Daniel Martin yesterday. I was like, why did everybody wanted to look like RuPaul? And black, white, Chinese, man, woman,
Right.
teenager, old lady, RuPaul, please.
Yes.
So you began going to the shows and still working at the counter? Was that happening?
I started testing. In those
Okay.
days, you had to build a portfolio.
Yes.
To present to agencies, to present to clients. There was no Instagram page. There was no Facebook page. There was no MySpace page. There was nothing. It was your portfolio and photos that you've done work on that were often unretouched.
Yes.
No filters, and you had to get your work as close to perfect as possible.
Yes.
And so I started testing. I started taking off days. The same, my dad in the industry, James Harris, who had introduced me to the people at Naomi Sims Cosmetics, had also introduced me to Fran Cooper. So I started assisting Fran Cooper. That led me to assisting her for fashion shows where I first met Naomi Campbell. Then she felt like, let me introduce you to Kevin Aquan because you should be assisting him as well. He does a lot of shows. He'll love you.
Okay.
And so Fran was another Black woman in the industry who was a huge inspiration to me because being able to see people of color behind the scenes is so important because it sets a stage to say that, I can be here too.
Yes.
So Fran introduced me to so much, and I started assisting and taking off work, and then I got fired at the department store because I was taking off too much. So I always say when people lose a job, lose a client, lose a man, lose a wife, whatever the case may be, I always say congratulations because it is the beginning of another chapter, and it was the beginning to my freelance career that I have now had for 30 years.
Oh my God. You hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So you started doing the shows, which didn't pay and wasn't glamorous, but that
It used to pay in clothes.
Oh, right.
Ethan Angelo. Or if it did pay, it paid a nominal fee. You get paid like 6 months later after calling 10 times to see where the money was. But the joy, once again, being in those rooms and being able to watch professionals, Kevin Aquan set a look and bring a photo of Linda Evangelista from an Italian Vogue shoot with red hair and nothing underneath and just wing liner and just this crease, and the colors and the choices and understanding leadership and talent. That was what was so important. And at that time, we had just started tweezing brows. That was becoming very popular, this beautiful, beautiful, strong brow. And so we were tweezing brows at the fashion shows, and Kevin would come around and say, Sam, that's beautiful. Take another row out. And you're just like, okay. And, and sure, go for it. And that kind of leadership and being able to watch Fran Cooper work and for Naomi Campbell to see me working on another model and then feel comfortable enough to call me and to become my first celebrity client, those are the kinds of things that happen because there's always someone watching. I can never say that enough. There's always someone watching. The smallest thing you do, the smallest gesture, and so it's wonderful to be in the room, and it's also wonderful to always give of yourself the best that you can because people are always watching.
That is so. Is that generationally lost? That is lost. I'm telling you, there's always someone
They
watching.
have so many more distractions now, Tiffany.
True. That is true. You're right. You're right.
I'm not thinking about posting. I'm not thinking about putting it on. That's another reason why I think, sometimes my following isn't what people think that it should be, because I don't have the time to post because I'm busy working.
I know. I wanted to ask you about some of these looks because I think we're getting to that era now that we're talking about. Wait, when did you decide? You had not even. Where were you in your life when you decided to make a book?
Oh my God!
Where were you?
I was 27.
Stop it!
I was 27.
Oh my
Kevin
God.
had, put out The Art of Makeup. Bobby Brown had put out, I can't remember the title. There's so many.
Yeah.
The cover in my head though. And I went to the bookstore and I just felt like, wow, I have celebrity clients and, I've seen 1 page or 2 pages to represent, this myriad of Black beauty, and it just wasn't enough for me. And so I started thinking, wow, I've got a Vanessa Williams, I've got a Patti LaBelle, I've got a Naomi Campbell, I've got a Tyra Banks, I've got a Veronica Webb. I can put this together.
Yes.
And I was working with Patti LaBelle doing her book cover, and talked to her editor on set and just told her, I said, I'm really thinking about doing a makeup book, and I'm wondering if I could share some of the boards. This is no Keynote. This is no computer.
Right.
I didn't even own a computer then. And they weren't being sold readily, in the way they are today.
Yeah.
So I took my boards to her. I had a meeting and I had a book deal.
That's one of those things that's just perfectly aligned then. But I noticed that in the book, your Vanessa pictures do have the thin brows. So it must have been that same time, right? So we're talking early 90s? The book came out in 95, yes?
98.
98? Okay. Okay. So the thin brows started out in like 95, but you had already gotten your covers and stuff by then.
Yeah.
Right? So like,
well, Naomi was my first. So her Marie Claire cover, things like that were done in like 92.
Tell me about that Marie Claire cover. That cover.
You don't even know what you're being called for when Naomi calls you. She called me to ask her to work with her on our first booking for People magazine, 50 Most Beautiful. And they used to, photograph these great staged images. They weren't taking stock photos. They were shooting them themselves. And that was the beginning of a great relationship. And every time I got a call, I'd just be like, oh, okay, this is what it is. And I didn't even know some of the magazine covers at the time. We were working for, I think, German Vogue. I'd done Marie Claire.
Cosmo.
Yeah, Cosmo. Harper's Bazaar with Rico Pullman, the photographer that I loved his work. So wherever she went, I went. And I credit her and everyone that I've ever worked with, from Tyra to Vanessa and Patti LaBelle and Veronica Webb, for requesting me and dragging me into so many
important
places that I didn't even know that existed. I didn't even know these things existed.
This was key because let's talk about the diversity level or lack thereof at this time. This is the Marie Claire cover. I mean, Cosmopolitan is huge, right? This is an exciting thing to be
any artist, let alone an artist of color, coming into an industry that they don't really know how to navigate.
And what was it feeling like to you at that time? Were you aware? Were you feeling like a pioneer?
I love starting early. That's what I credit to starting early. I didn't have a chance to be fearful and think about how important these things were. I just showed up and did the work. Of course, I knew who Naomi Campbell was, and she was lovely and also a great teacher. No, Sam, no. It's got to be, it's got to be this, to be here. And it's not this. Do you have this? And, she taught me, but it never interfered with the process because there wasn't anything that she could ask me that I couldn't do, but I needed to understand her vision of it. And that was important. And learning that relationship is very important. We're servants. I say that all the time.
Right.
I've had many arguments with other makeup artists about it. It doesn't diminish our talent. It just sets the stage for the service that we provide.
That is such a huge topic, and Troy and I talk about it all the time. And yes, it sounds insulting, but once you receive that, you're so empowered because the onus isn't on you to be the star anymore. And you can give to your client, and then everyone's celebrating.
And focus on your work.
Yes.
Focus on your work.
Yes. I know. If I was sitting here talking to you and worried about myself the whole time, right? Nobody's listening. I think about it all the time. You know what I mean? It's not an insult to say that this artistry is service industry, and it's
entertainers. You're buying a ticket to watch them perform. Their job is to entertain you.
Yes.
They're in service to you. For these 2 hours, your job as a comedian is to make me laugh. Your job as Beyonce is to dance and sing and entertain me. Yes. It's the trickle down. Barack Obama is in service to us.
Right.
Yes, the people. So everyone has an audience. Everyone is in service, and it never leaves you. We are celebrated artists. We are celebrated because we are able to reach certain levels and do things that strike a chord with folks. But we're still in service.
Right.
I'm still getting Vanessa's coffee. I still do every time I go to work.
Right. Oh my gosh, Vanessa in bad hair, sidebar. Loved it.
Oh my God. It's intimidating. I was in high school watching her being crowned the first Black Miss America, and to work with her. And this was after The Right Stuff, after, being Miss America. And it's incredibly intimidating, to think, what could you possibly add to this beauty? But you go in and you add your spin. Oh
my God. The looks you have done for Vanessa, this woman was everything to me still. She still looks like that today. It's all, they are just incredible. So now you're getting excited. You are when did you feel like you arrived? Here you are doing covers. This is I feel like you just are humble from beginning to end, but you must have had a moment.
It comes in stages though, Tiffany. That's the beauty. It comes in stages, your career. There are lows, there are highs, and there's terrain that you just have to get through. Yes. And the beginning of your career, and once again, I credit it to being young. That just work is everything. You get off a plane, you go right to work. You end work, you get back on another plane. You try to accommodate as many people as you can. You work as hard as you can. You get as many assistants as you can to make sure that everything comes off beautifully. But I had a wonderful time in my career to start. I just, I almost feel bad for the kids who are starting makeup today.
Why?
I say that in a bad way.
Right.
I got to do Mary J. Blige's second single, her music video, Real Love. I got to do Brandy, Baby Baby in Times Square. I got to do the remix featuring Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Yo Yo. And I did all of them. So this was a period where a lot of celebrities didn't have personals. Everyone didn't own a makeup artist in the way that they do today. Right. Because everyone has their own now. You you had an opportunity in your career as a makeup artist to run the gamut. I was working with Patti LaBelle, Naomi Campbell, Vanessa Williams, Veronica Webb, and newbie Tyra Banks. So and also in between doing Deborah Cox, her first music video, Mary J. Blige, Real Love, Brandy, Baby Baby, I Want to Be Down. All of these new artists and music had a budget and
hell yes,
that was very strong
Mm.
in a way that it does today. But we tuned into Friday night videos in a way. No one will remember this other than folks my age. But when MTV and Friday night videos, you stayed up to watch these because you wanted to see the elaborate music videos and what went into them.
Oh, it was 20 minutes long, a big presentation. MTV presents, the Get Off video, I know, right? Yes.
And I mean, those are just a few. I mean, Faith's first single, and I won't even talk about, the beginning years of working with Iman, someone that I had watched.
Oh my God, I can't even believe I haven't brought that up yet.
It's okay, because it's a chapter in and to itself. So
yes.
I could not have experienced that kind of career without transporting myself back to 92, 93, 95, because the things that were going on in the world and in the music industry and the talent that was coming out of the community, these Black women who were coming up, who are now legendary, Mary J. Blige and Brandy and Queen Latifah. I mean, Queen Latifah was still rapping then. This is long before her Oscar nomination. So these are formative years, not just for me, but for them.
Oh, and you get to be a part of it all, front row seat. Oh my God.
That's not me. That's God.
Yes. Oh, that makes me want to. I just feel so emotional and I'm so sentimental and nostalgic. But like thinking of you on the MC Light, and I mean, and I don't know if people know. I mean, of course, if people are watching this on YouTube, I'm gonna show that what Queen used to be doing. It was not what it was so funny. It's serendipitous that right before this, I turn on the TV and there she is in Girls Trip, and like some people, this is the first time this is how long and legendary her career has been. And you've been there for the whole thing.
Her first CoverGirl campaign. And
I want to talk to you about CoverGirl.
But what an out the box beauty. We all knew, our community knew Queen Latifah's beautiful, Jill Scott, Kelly Price. They know these girls are gorgeous, but cosmetics had a way of only choosing a certain type of Black woman to represent a brand.
Okay.
We're used to Vanessa Williams, fair skin, blue eyes, Veronica Webb, light skin, curly hair, Halle Berry. We were used to those role models for beauty campaigns. But to have someone come in with a voice, literally a voice, like Queen Latifah, full figured, beautiful, for her to sign CoverGirl was so just monumental.
Yes.
So to work on that with her was amazing.
Are you guys always getting along? Is everybody always getting along? I mean, do you get these women? Is there what is the level of pushback that you're dealing with? And how do you roll with
every other artist out there?
Yes.
I just handle it with grace.
Yes.
And I am constantly working to achieve my vision. That is my goal. That's probably the most selfish part of my artistry.
And that's what they signed up for.
Ish.
Okay.
Ish. Patti LaBelle only wore red lipstick. This was at the early onset of nudes. I mean, she doesn't really have, a very full lips, tell you herself. But to get her into nudes and get her into a stronger eye was a big change for her. So yes, it's going to be a fight. Yes, it is going to be a fight not to give Iman a smoky eye after she said, I want a smoky eye. So you build a rapport, you do what that client enjoys the most. They know you have it down, and then you gain their trust. You don't change a look overnight. You don't emphasize something, the first time you do it. You follow their lead. The first time I worked with RuPaul, I like to work with very little light. If anyone's ever assisted me or worked or seen me in a class, I love to see the shadows and contours so that I don't need a lot of light coming at me.
That's so interesting.
So RuPaul said to me, she's like, "You don't need more light?" I said, I don't. But if you find that I'm going in a direction that you feel like, you need to question it, or if I'm going off script, let me know. I'll explain it to you. I'm not defensive about it.
Right.
I'm going to let you know my vision and where I'm going with this, because everybody has a different technique. Roxana Floyd used to do eyes first, then foundation. I like to do foundation and contour and really perfect the canvas first. So everyone has their routine. So you have to be malleable and pace yourself and save the fights for when they are absolutely necessary.
Yes.
And I do.
I love it.
I'm a Scorpio.
Are you? Oh, Sam, I can't believe you told me that. So now I know. I feel like I can see behind the scenes. I can see how it goes. I can see how it goes down. Can you talk to me about this beautiful look? I need to know more about this.
And to say that photo with Iman was Mike Ruiz, another wonderful photographer that I've worked with throughout my career, calling me and saying, do you think I can get you guys together to do something with Iman? Do you think Iman would be willing to do something? Once again, you talk about building a rapport. To get, Vanessa Williams to do a voiceover for my first DVD, to have Iman host my DVD party, to look at Kevin and Janet in Vogue. Those are relationships.
Right.
And they're not a quick ask. These are years of working with someone to say, hey, Iman, Mike Ruiz wants to do something. This is what he's thinking. It's going to be no brows. It's going to be just eyes. It's going to be very graphic. And to have her show up and just say like, oh, okay, fine. I get it.
She's an artist.
I remember that day so well. It's just fun. It's just fun and easy work. And that's what it should be.
Yes. Did you take her eyebrows off, or is that bleached? Okay.
Very fine brow.
I mean, it's just incredible. And then is the colors that you used on her eye green, or is that the effect that's
kind of a black gray.
Oh God, it's
because even when you get the deepest black, it has either green.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Right. For those, I think every makeup artist is still searching for the perfect black, especially on brown skin. So you want it to be as rich as you imagine. And but it always has an undertone in it. So the green is what you're seeing.
What's the ideal undertone for black?
Probably green.
I think so too. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, good. I'm glad that, a legend has, confirmed that I was on the right track.
Because gray will still go up. It won't be as dark and dense as the black liner you're about to use, or the liquid liner. You want it to still, you want it to have dimension. So you still want it to be dark as the liner that you're going to use, which is usually something with a bit of green in it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there is a science.
Especially, and what I always tell people, which is a really good point, you have to remember that women of color are color already. So everything that you apply on her is going to shift a bit, because you're putting it on a brown canvas. She's not a blank canvas already. So if you get an eyeshadow and you're like, wow, this didn't look like it did in the compact. Well, no, it won't. You layered it on brown.
Right.
So it's going to change a bit. So it has to be highly pigmented, and you have to know the undertones. And sometimes that's just trial and error.
Have you ever dealt with people who say, I mean, I know I'm asking this, but I know the answer. Have you dealt with people, or how do you deal with people who assume that you can only do ethnic skin? Like, that must be.
I think the industry is very close-minded.
Yeah.
As it pertains to behind the scene talent, that we wouldn't understand, that I couldn't understand something as edgy as that photo with Iman, removing her brows and how to place the right emphasis in the right place. I think sometimes the industry sells us short. They don't think that because you do Mary J. Blige and music videos and celebrities for red carpet, that you'll equally understand fashion. I think Kevin was a huge leader for us in that way, because he took so much of what editorial, and supermodels were celebrities at that time. He took what he used in fashion and brought that to celebrities. And so that kind of became a winning formula for us all. Yet a lot of people still felt that being a Black man, that I could only do Black women. And, thankfully, Scavullo, who was a huge influence for me, I have Cosmo covers. He with Bjork. I mean, Matthew Ralston booked me with Bjork. Patrick Demarchelier was lovely. Herb Ritz was lovely and asked for me after meeting me with Halle Berry for Revlon. So there were photographers and there are people in the industry. I hate to say it, they're few and far between who understand what talent looks like. Reuven Afanador would call me for anything because talent is talent. And that translates. And there are people who understand that and aren't buying into my name. They're not buying into any name. They're buying into the talent that is presented.
Right. Wow. That is so well said. You've thought about this. Thing.
I've lived it. And it's sad. It's sad because a lot of people, I don't think they realize that, that I do have Cosmo covers. I did, supermodels with Scavullo for Paris L'Officiel and tons of editorial for Cosmo in addition to covers. Because the work and the purpose aligned in a way that it overshadowed some of that early work.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying completely. Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. That's fine. But I do want
what a launch pad. I mean, but you're right. The technology and the way the entertainment flowed, it happened so rapidly that the music videos are what stayed, right? And then Scavullo, he was gone too soon, obviously, but who knows what music videos Scavullo would have been a part of.
And Herb Ritz was beginning to do music videos.
Right, exactly.
Boston then ushered in the look that he was using for Harper's Bazaar and all this beautiful editorial and started doing commercials and these beautiful, I remember, you cannot forget in Vogue and some of the beautiful TLC videos that Matthew Ralston did. And I didn't have a chance to work with him on music videos. We did commercials. We did some L'Oreal commercials and things of that nature. And but being able to work with photographers who could think outside the box creatively and bring and just see talent for what talent is. It has given me the career that I have today.
Thankfully. Now, tell me about this Essence cover that I'm looking at. Did you do all these faces?
No.
Okay, because I was worried. I was like, that must have been the worst day of his life and also the most gratifying, and he must have slept for a year and had a vacation.
I would have loved to have worked on everyone in that cover. But they assigned a makeup artist to each celebrity. And
wait, I'm just the visual of that set.
It was the easiest, most perfect day
wonderful
any of us have ever had. Reggie Wells, Jay Manuel from Top Model was still doing makeup.
Wow.
Rianne Silva was pregnant.
Oh my God.
Yes. Gosh, Roxana Floyd was still alive.
Oh my God.
Latifah. So it was such a love affair. And I actually did Michael Michel. I did.
Oh my God.
Working with Michael Michel right at the top. And I had not worked with I had worked with Queen, but Roxana Floyd had been with her during those years. So she was with her, and then, Halle Berry, I hadn't worked with her on that level yet. She had, I can't remember who worked with her on that. I'd have to go back to the photo. But those are the kinds of jobs. Essence was my Vogue.
Of course.
It was an opportunity for me to add my spin in the way that Kevin was able to add his spin at Vogue. Working with, cover and beauty editor Mickey Taylor, working underneath Susan Taylor, the editor-in-chief. It was like family. It was like coming home and making these women look their most absolute beautiful and taking them all and giving them this moment to celebrate themselves. That's what the Mary J. Blige covers were. And I have like 3 or 4 of hers. And, I have covers with Queen Latifah and Alec Weck. And then
that was beautiful. I mean, they're all beautiful, but this essence with Alec, I mean, that is iconic. Look at that. I mean, she lives in my neighborhood, and she.
Yeah, I know. I see her in the same all the time.
And when she gets out of a cab, I love it because it's like an emergence, like it's like into an aquarium, it's like a mermaid woman that just like, it takes like a long time and she just like emerges out of the cab.
And I think one of the greatest compliments is that Alec chose that photo for her book cover. So you get those kind of wonderful moments, and Essence gave me so much autonomy. They put up with me, but they also taught me so much.
How did they put up with you? What was there? Did you challenge them? Yes.
I challenge everyone. I challenge everyone to think outside the box. I did, I would say, why does Gabrielle Union not have an Essence cover yet? Why does Monique not have an Essence cover yet? So in the same way that Kevin Aquan would champion certain models, and, he would do Shiseido and he would choose the models,
right?
Because you want that synergy. You want the girl that you feel would showcase this well and bring all of you into a new era.
That is such an amazing quality, and it is so rare, don't you think? It's brave of you to do. Do you ever worry about the consequences of standing up to a publication like that?
I don't think it's standing up. I think it is part of the team process.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. You're pushing them, and that's why what they look to you for that. What can we be doing differently?
For sure. I mean, they believed in me. I believe in them. Yeah. And to the extent that they will say, hey, we can't get this person on the phone, Sam, can you get them on the phone? Yeah, I can. I'm with them at work right now. They want you for a cover. I've been trying. I can't, I'm trying. I promise. I mean, you are a connector. And I when you have had a career where other people have connected you, Fran Cooper, Kevin Aquan, and so many others, and Veronica Webb, and having so many other people look out for me, I feel like it's my job. So when I have an assistant, Valente Frazier, who goes on to work with Tyra Banks, when I have, Oscar James or Chucky Amos to refer to Iman and to Tyra, it's a joy. These are professionals that I know can do a great job. And if I happen to know them before you, then it's my job to introduce you.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And I know like 2 people who think like this, and it's you and Troy. And like, just there's of course many more. I'm just saying because Troy as well. And like that hand extended is so rare. And it's the reward that you feel. And sometimes you aren't rewarded, and sometimes it bites you. You know what I mean?
No.
You don't feel that way. Okay.
The reward is giving it away.
And not worrying about the outcome.
It's the gift. The gift ends with the giver.
Wow.
So I've given you this client. Do with her what you will. You may reach new heights with her, as I have with many of my clients. It's up to you.
Beautiful. That is truly beautiful. Your grace and your kindness and your generosity. I know that, I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about this, but I know that you had a bad experience, a challenge, with feeling, you have contributed to, extending diversity in this horrible industry. And then I know one time that you were in Sephora and you were mistaken. And I wondered if you want to share that story with me, because it just, how you handled it, to me is really beautiful and strong to how maybe other people might react.
I think that you are often presented with challenging situations. Work presents its own unique challenges. Being a Black male presents other unique challenges. I was a creative makeup director. I was the creative makeup director at the time for Fashion Fair. And I have to do shopping, comparative shopping. So I'd gone to Saks Fifth Avenue and gotten some Tom Ford shades, and so then Sephora's down the street. And so I went to Sephora afterwards, and I was opening some of the colors to compare. I don't want to buy the same shade. I want to buy a version of that shade to submit and work off of for my collection, my co-branded collection with Fashion Fair. And I was shopping. They continued to ask me, did I need help? And I'm still shopping, and two cops come in the door, and I'm just looking like, oh, okay, where are they going? And they come directly to me. And, we all know where this story's going. I was accused of shoplifting. Obviously, I wasn't. I went downstairs, later, once word got out, once I presented my ID, people, like, oh, okay, which is still unfortunate. It's lovely, but it's still unfortunate. But everybody knows where this story goes. It's not unique. I wish it were. A similar situation happened to me last week when I was going shopping on 57th. And I walked in and they thought I was there to make a delivery. And they told me where to drop the products off. I've gone to visit editor-in-chief, at Essence Magazine for an appointment. And they asked me, am I dropping something off? Instead of calling up and saying, you're here, Sam Fine is here to see you. It's a knee-jerk reaction. It's very challenging. There's really nothing to say in these situations. Time reveals all. Just like we're talking about it now, very, very, interesting time. That change is inevitable, and you hold on to these stories, these traumas, and it is very challenging. But I don't know anyone of color who doesn't have a story as well.
Right. And so how can we be better? What can we do? Point them out? Should we what do you do in that situation when you are mistaken for the delivery person? You of course want to be indignant and, say, you were.
I was.
Good.
I was. And trust me, it comes, I think it's important to inform.
Yes.
I do think it's very important to have a conversation. I don't think that the first thing that people think to do is apologize. And that's where I become frustrated.
Wow, right. So they say, I didn't know, or how am I supposed to know? Or instead
It was
of
a mistake.
Yeah.
But it's a mistake that has happened to me many times in my life.
Again and again.
Business of Fashion just talked about how people of color spend a disproportionate amount compared to general market. As a minority, we spend a disproportionate amount on beauty, yet we are least satisfied with our purchases and the engagement from the brands. A Black model doesn't mean that there's going to be someone behind the counter who's knowledgeable and understanding of the trauma that I've experienced prior to approaching this counter. My mom has gone through it with getting misinformation. This is how you line lips to make them look thinner. No, I'm talking to you about how to celebrate full lips, how to make more out of your skin tone, how to wear sunscreen to alleviate hyperpigmentation. That's the kind of information and education that should be handed to you at cosmetic counters. Yet we pick up horrible information. And many times the fear of not being able to address our skin tone or our beauty needs, you don't get the kind of attention that our white counterparts would get when they approach the cosmetic counter. So much of that is still a challenge. Just because you have 40 shades does not mean 40 shades of foundation does not mean that you still speak a language that's specific to me, does not mean that you have skincare that speaks to my specific needs. Does not mean there are many brands who have 40 shades of foundation, yet don't have powder. Yet women of color are known to be much more oily, which keeps them younger looking longer, but that's a great product to use strategically. So it's very challenging. And once again, there are many brands who still have not had a spokesperson of color.
Right. Yes. Yes. Oh, I love everything you said. The education is key. And I feel like, working in Mac in the 90s, I feel like it was always, we were trained so much. I don't know. I mean, every 2 weeks they had, a thing, I remember,
Yes.
but it was great because it was, it was a section for this, ethnicity, this ethnicity. What do you do when, someone requests someone of color to do their makeup? Do not get defensive, that's their.
There you go. And you talk about what can people do?
Right.
Not get defensive.
Right.
Understand that this woman has sat in so many chairs prior to coming to you. So if she questions your ability, know that she has been traumatized.
Yes.
And that question is part of your service to say, yeah, I read Sam Fine's book. I also read Kevin Aquan's book and Bobby Brown's book. We had a training on this. And if I start with something and need to test it, or you want more or less of something, you just tell me, because that's my job.
I wish that we could record this response and then people can just like memorize it before they go to work. And then they say, Sam Fine says this. That's what I will say.
But we bring so much of our personal issues to work.
So true.
I've been at work and had challenges with, photographers that I would never have thought to be questioned in the way that they would question my makeup or request certain things as if I weren't hired to do my job in the same way that you were hired to do yours.
Right.
It's very challenging. And, I do want to talk more about these situations and my experiences because these are the things that aren't celebrated. Celebrate the work. We have no idea the challenges that we're presented with as artists in a business that there are no rules and regulations. There's no union. There are no advocates. People would like to say that agencies are that, but they are not. They are helpful in situations.
Sure.
They don't. They also want to make sure that they can maintain great relationships with these clients and continue booking other artists with them, or magazines, or clients, or whoever the client is.
Yes.
So I think it's really important to realize that it's a very challenging business.
Yes. I know, people who listen to this are they're makeup artists, but they're also not makeup artists, and they just cannot. I hear it all the time in reviews and DMs and in texts that they can't believe the challenges in a seemingly vain, superficial career like this one. Yeah, the business.
And imagine having to go to work every day, and your office being different. The setup being different, the lighting being different, the atmosphere, and you have to work with different people sometimes every day you go to work that you sometimes know, sometimes you don't know. Part of being, in this industry for as long as I've been in, of course you go to work with people that you know, but before that you don't.
Yeah,
everyone's a new person to you, and that you have to learn. You don't have anyone to call. You don't have an HR to report, these incidents to, harassment or microaggressions. You don't have anyone to go to about those things, because then you're just labeled a problem maker.
Yes, that is so true. And like, it becomes this thing of like, she's happy to be on set. He's good for set. You know what I mean? And then that is not always the greatest artist. You know what I mean? So you're picking, the production is picking people who are more agreeable over somebody who may be.
And we won't even talk about the fight for rates and payment. And people act as if agencies are the only ones. And I have to tell everybody out there that if you don't know how to manage yourself and negotiate rates and negotiate payment terms, then you're doing yourself a disservice.
Major, or depending on someone else always to do it. Yes.
We
Someone
always
else.
want someone else to be the bad guy and hold them accountable. But
100%.
the business has to come, the business mind, the understanding of rates and travel and all of these things and your requirements, they begin with you.
Yes.
I had the pleasure of working with Jennifer Hudson years for her first single, Spotlight, and and those things.
Yes.
It was wonderful. We built a great relationship, and she's also from Chicago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I had the pleasure of working with her when she returned from her family tragedy, when she sang the Star Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl. And it was just, you don't even know what to say. And a lot of times when people say that everybody's going through something, it's true. It is true. I have watched clients go through divorce, family loss, you know, just a myriad of experiences. And you're there to support them, crying through it all. I've even worked on the deceased in honor of clients.
What was that situation?
I don't really talk
Okay.
about it much.
Yeah.
But
Oh
it's
my
the kind of
God.
things that we do give
Wow.
back to the people who support and love us
That is really
through
beautiful.
it all. So
Wow.
So when I
Wow.
say everybody's going through something, it is true. It is true. You just try to
Yes.
manage it. And sometimes you come in and you just think it's, just a general attitude or a general, oh, she's not nice to me,
Right.
or they're not having a good day. I don't know what's wrong with her. We bring so much of our need for approval. I do think that is something that is born in freelancers, especially because every job is unique into itself. You don't get to call in sick. You don't get days for bereavement. So even when something's going on in your life,
Right.
you can't express it.
No.
But we're we're the closest people to our client, and to know that you're a soother. You really do have to be very sensitive to everyone's energy. And it definitely helped me to grow closer to Jennifer, and to create more stunning photos with her as life moved on. In fact, when she was pregnant, we were working on a photo shoot for Elle magazine, and she just usually you see a girl change, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
She had to build this whole thing around, and she was just like, no, nobody in today. We're like, okay, I just want to see the clothes. So I knew what to do with the makeup. And it was the funniest thing. But then to turn out, as it turns out, after that, we learned that she was pregnant. She was just trying to keep it quiet.
Oh,
But there's wonderful moments that happen as well, but like I said, everybody's going through something.
You've probably seen Queen through every single emotion. I mean, is that who you've been with the longest?
No, Vanessa Williams.
Is it?
Vanessa Williams and Queen Latifah share the same birthday. Yeah, funny, right? My Pisces girls. But Vanessa Williams, I've known forever and continue to work with her consistently. There are people who have pockets you share pockets with of their life. But Vanessa, I've been around really, I've done her daughter Lion Babe for appearances now. I did Jillian for her prom.
Oh my God.
I babysat kids. They're in my arms, Sasha, so it's wonderful. It's wonderful to grow up with people, but I also know her parents and know how wonderful a woman she is, and such a role model to me as it pertains to holding your celebrity and being able to show up for the work, do the job, and enjoy the applause.
Yes. I wonder what it feels like for you to be like a personal on a set, and You don't have to tell me, but do you ever just like say like, I can't believe, like, do you enjoy your time on set? Those hours are so long. My God. I mean, don't you ever just want to be like, guys, can we just stop now?
The transition from freelancing to television and film, I have Queen Latifah to thank for that.
Yes, that's what I'm
That's
thinking about.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword because introducing me to television and film and me joining the union um, is a wonderful asset, right? But the hours are different, the work
Mhm.
is different, the hours are different. Did I mention the hours? Um, it's not creative in the way that
Yeah,
freelance is. You don't go and you
sure.
apply and then you leave, knowing that the job is fully complete, because now you're going to have to come back to that scene and you're going to have to recreate it 3, 4, 5 times. So it's very interesting. And for me, it is a different discipline.
Oh, yes. That's what I wanted to ask you about too, is that one is sort of, I find I talk to people for this, who are personals, who are keys and department heads, and it's like different languages. And people just say, "Oh, you do," like, when I was doing makeup back in the day, like people would be like, "So you're a makeup artist, so can you do a bald cap?" And I'm like, that day,
No.
that morning, no.
And I
So
don't do any of that. I don't do any of that. I'm still, actually, technically, I'm still a makeup trainee.
oh,
Even as
Sam,
a personal, because you
Sam.
have to take different classes to learn
Right. Licenseship, right?
qualify to be a journeyman. The union's very special, and now it's a wonderful place to be, especially having moved to LA. I was in LA for 7 years.
Mhm.
Started with the Queen Latifah show, which was wonderful.
Oh my
But
gosh, how
then I
fun.
realized I was union, and I could work with different celebrities now on television shows and TV and film. So I went on to do Angela Bassett for 911, Nia Long for a wonderful movie with Omar Epps on Netflix. Um,
Oh, yes, I saw that. I
yeah.
like that.
And then most recently, Queen Latifah on the Equalizer. So
Yes.
there's some things that there's so many celebrities doing television and like Netflix productions now in a way that they weren't before. It was either movies or
Totally.
or they were on tour doing albums.
Right.
So now to have that ability to switch up, and so much of what I learned from supermodels was how to diversify your portfolio. Being able
Mhm.
to walk and talk and
Mhm.
do different types of makeup to fit different scenarios.
Mhm.
So television and film requires this. Oh, editorial requires this. Commercial requires this. And being able to lend yourself to each of those
Mhm.
with the same type of professionalism and talent that's necessary.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh my gosh, but, you're gonna have to do a bald cap one day. No.
Nope. Nope. Angela Bassett was doing 911 and she was cutting off a limb and they were like putting blood on her clothes because that's props. That's
Yeah,
wardrobe.
yes.
And then they were like, "Well, should she have blood on her face?" I was like,
Mm-mm.
I don't do that." But they said they didn't want it. So I was saved.
You're looking around. Where's the blood guy?
That's when I go
Blood.
to the department head,
Yeah.
who you immediately befriend, because I can't tell
Yes.
you the wealth of knowledge I've learned from my department heads, working on Queen Latifah on Hollywood, the Ryan Murphy Netflix show.
Oh, yes, of
Was
course.
Patti McDaniels in that, and they gave me a tattoo cover. She had a tattoo that obviously needed to be covered, and learning tattoo cover and things of that nature,
Yes.
it's great, the things that you can pick up from people who, and everyone has something to teach. Everyone
Yes.
has something.
I don't understand this behavior where they don't talk to each other. Okay, so like when I don't understand it. You have to why aren't all the makeup artists, when there's like 10 on a set and everybody's in charge of somebody else and another department, why isn't everybody saying hi to each other? I can't understand that
It's the
stigma.
first thing I do
Yes,
is
of
going
course
into
you do.
myself, because that's the way I was raised,
Yes.
not as a makeup artist, but as a gentleman.
As a gentleman.
Yes.
Exactly. I can't understand. I have no patience for that. I'm like, hi,
No,
can everybody
into the
please
room
meet?
and only speak to your client. Okay, we're not doing that. Hi. I hate that. That's a pet peeve.
100%. Me too. For the Jennifer Hudson shoot that I showed you.
Yes.
Was
With
this?
Bonador.
Was
It was
this?
for the color purple.
It was
He
for the
was going into the color
show.
purple. So the whole setup,
Gosh,
everything we did in the
of
theater,
course.
she wore the color purple, and she's such an easy person.
Really?
Oh my
That's
God.
wonderful to hear.
Sits. Those are the ones we always note when you talk to another makeup artist. Oh, you'll love Jennifer. She sits. She wants it all. We love those girls. We love those girls.
No chase of face for her.
Yes.
And working with Brandy, that was another campaign, yes? But before that, you had known her. I mean,
Cover
you've done the
girl.
videos and
Yeah, the
yes.
music videos. When I met her, we were doing, I think, Baby with director Hype Williams, and he's a huge director of music videos and just amazing. And we just forged a great relationship around that time as well. Brandy's lovely, and every time I see her and her mom Sonia, because she was like 16 or 17, her mother would come in all the time. Don't make her look too grown. Don't. She's got time for that. So it was really interesting trying to pull back, but also give her the things that I felt were necessary.
Well, yes. I mean, she has the freshest face. I'm looking at it right now. She has the freshest face. So that's all you had to do was just keep it fresh, right? How do you make somebody look too grown? What would make it
more lashes, more
right?
shadow, you know, just more contour and highlighting, and just really amping that up, and just knowing when to pull back. And I think that that's the bulk of the work, whether you're doing Neutrogena with Gabrielle Union, whether you're doing CoverGirl with Queen Latifah, Revlon with Veronica Webb. These are makeup ads, but they're very specific as to what they're selling. And so thinking is right. What I'm highlighting here.
Yes. And I love when people say, she doesn't need much. It's a skin campaign. So, come on. Hang up the phone.
Look, it's, you know, I always tell people, if I can put foundation on Halle Berry and that beautiful skin, then everybody can have some. Okay. Halle, I mean, and she would just sit, and I did it for a Revlon campaign commercial with Alec and her Brits, and they were doing a group of girls. And of course, you know, Halle is the only celebrity, and she's just gorgeous and so patient and just very mindful of what everyone does.
Oh, right. But that's good to hear.
Of what everyone does.
Wow. Wow. I mean, she still looks like 5 minutes ago. Come on.
Look, like I said, if I can put foundation on her, then everybody can have some.
Exactly. I think her and Jada just look beautiful all the time.
Oh yeah.
And then your Ebony, your Oprah cover. Tell me about that.
Chicago again. You know, the interesting thing about being from Chicago, there are 3 people that you kind of have to like bow down to.
3 people in Chicago. You?
No. Oprah, obviously. Michael Jordan, his wife Juanita at the time, and John Johnson. And you.
Okay.
Fashion Fair and Ebony. Okay. So this was a wonderful call. You know, clients often take breaks with their makeup artists. You know, I've worked with Tyra, introduced her to my assistant Valente at the time. He's gone on to call her his main client. And then I've gone in to work with her as well at different times.
Right.
So there's no exclusivity.
Yes.
You know, answer the phone when people call.
I know, and people, there's so much drama about where did they go? Where did Sam go? And I'm right here. I was busy that day. I know.
Exactly. You know, I might have had something personal going on.
Exactly.
And I couldn't do that job. Or it just might have been the end of our time together.
Sure. Exactly.
And that's okay too. So Oprah was looking for people at the time, and my name was on a short list, and she had worked with some others, and she finally got to me, and I got my moment. And it was fun. You know, there are always challenges. There are always photographers who want to project their image of beauty to you.
Yes.
And I don't think that's always fair because I said before, I was hired to do my job in the same way you were hired to do your job.
Yeah.
It's a collaborative effort. Yes, I understand. But there are certain things that I still have to believe in. There's certain tenets that I have to believe in to make it beautiful. I always tell people, like, have you not seen my work? Do you not know what I do? Because it's no mystery as to what you're going to look like or what I'm thinking of. I'm not using my fingers. I like a brush. I'm very architectural, my contour, my highlighting, so no, you have to know who you called. Of course there's an occasional, job where you get, I worked for Tracy Chapman once. And I was like, well, clearly we're not doing all out glam, but I can dial myself back to meet you, to meet your needs. Female grooming. I get what that looks like.
Yeah.
And as a professional, yes, but I think everything has its place. But yeah, that Oprah cover, there were two. There was Red Book and there was the Ebony cover, and Scribnesky, who recently passed away, another famed photographer and huge in Chicago, photographed those. So it was a fun experience working with her.
Oh, that's wonderful. The last, tell me.
Completing my Chicago trifecta. I've worked with Michael Jordan and Juanita, his then
Did
wife.
you?
Yeah, and then to work with Oprah, and I had a chance to work with Eunice Johnson, the creator of Ebony Fashion Fair fashion shows and Fashion Fair Cosmetics, before she passed away as well.
Oh, that's amazing, Sam. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, the last person I am going to ask you about, I swear to God, when I was looking for this picture, saw that I have bent your ear now for an hour and a half, and I apologize.
Oh, good.
It seems like
you'll have a lot to edit. You'll have a lot to edit.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I could talk to you for the next 10 weeks.
Please.
I want to ask you about Tyra because, she's a personality, and I just want to know more about Tyra because something funny? I don't know a lot about her. And
it's interesting because she came in at a time where supermodels were still allowed to walk, talk, think, create, act, direct, do everything that they could think of. And I met Tyra at a test shoot. And for those of you all who don't know what a test shoot is, you have to, once again, we go to work. We may not use these photos. It's for a magazine, but we're all going to get great pictures out of it. And we're, for them, for today's audience, you might get, some beautiful photos for Instagram. And, it may not even make it into a magazine, but the work and the relationship is what it begins. And Tyra and I hit it off. It was the beginning of our careers. And, we shared a friendship that I've had like none other. I talk about having worked with Vanessa the longest, but Tyra and I were similar in age and also coming up in an industry that was very challenging. And so we supported one another a great deal. I remember going to Paris with her for couture, and I would do her foundation, her brows, and everything before she would go to a show. So she...
Oh, I love that.
So Veronica Webb
did she time. Really? Did they come up with that idea themselves? Like, listen, Sam, can you did that?
It's either that or they do it themselves. And so a lot of times if they knew they had the bigger shows coming up, they would just say, well, do my foundation and powder, do my brows, and then they can just do eyes. Or then I can do my own eyes once I find out what the look is. And it's the things that Black models still have to go through.
Yes.
Their own makeup. They have to be prepared to touch up or fine tune their own makeup because beauty is their commerce. So they're, as beautiful as you look on a runway, that's how you get the next editorial. That's how you get the next commercial. This is a viewing for everyone in the industry to see you in person and how how much retouching has gone into your beauty or how little. So So I used to do that, and I would do that for her in Paris. And in turn, she would take me to the agencies and tell them what a great artist I was and how they should take me on, because I wanted to move to Paris initially
Oh, really? I can see that.
to really work as an artist in the industry. I think of Paris as art, and I think of America as commerce.
Yes.
Everything here speaks to money. Paris, you can be on set for 4 hours creating and changing the looks and finding it. In America, they're like, look, we got to be out of the studio in 10 minutes and you guys got to hurry up, and we've got 4 shots left and we've got to get them.
Time is money.
Yeah. So I didn't stay. I did return, and it was one of the best years ever. But knowing Tyra and her business sense, it never surprised me that she went on to create, one of the biggest franchises ever, America's Next Top Model. In fact, for my fashion fair collaboration, I chose Fatima from America's Next Top Model. So
that's wonderful.
There were so many people that I'm fans of. I'm such a fan of other makeup artists. Troy Surratt, of course, our mutual friend. And there are just so many people that I admire. And I love introducing myself. And even through Instagram, sometimes I'll just reach out and just say hello. And I love your work. And I just want you to know that what
That's
you're doing.
so kind. Oh, that's wonderful, Sam. That's rare.
It's not,
Please.
though. I get some of the loveliest messages. I do have so many people. Sometimes I'm in tears from the nice things that people send me or say about me, because it always catches you at just that time
that
when
you need it.
Hear it.
Absolutely. Well, you're very open to receiving all that stuff too, and that's special. Oh my God. I mean, what have we could talk for another 10 years here. I said 10 weeks, but I'm changing my mind to 10 years. I feel like we have covered all of our images in your life. Is there something we're leaving out? Everything, right? We talked about everything.
It's been a fun life. It has been a very fun life. I don't think that you can have a career and not experience adversity. That would be too easy. So I'm thankful for having, gotten through it all, well, I'd like to think with grace. I'm sure someone else would say differently, but I've given it the grace that it deserves in every situation.
That's beautiful. I want everyone to get your book, but I want you to re-release it. I want you to re-release it so you I hate these things with
I am.
Oh, good. Okay.
When you go quiet, when you're not working, and when I talk about those hours on the equalizer, you're not talking about these hours that you're spending on set for, 18 to 16. I'm sorry, when you're not on set, for 16 to 18 hours, when I'm not working, I'm always thinking of new projects, new opportunities to inspire and delight my community, and the women who get so much from what I do, the women and men who get so much from what I do. So I'm working on a few things. I'm always thinking of some other things. So
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Because I hate how I always refer back to the books, like Sandy Linter has a book, and yes. We always lament that she and I about how it's like $300 on eBay. And she's like, and I don't get any of it.
None of it. Once it goes out of print, it's no longer being produced. So you no longer get any royalties from it.
She gets so pissed.
Happy that people can still find it. Who knows? A re-release might be in order. I don't think that many books have followed it, as it pertains to speaking directly to women of color. No. So it would be a nice reissue.
Well, Sam, I am looking so forward to everything that you have coming down the pike for the next 55 years. I mean, you are.
I get to retire?
Yeah, no. I will. If I ever hear of a retirement, if I go a week without hearing about you working that day, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to get you and pull you back out.
I got to make room for the rest. I got to make room for the next. these kids who are doing such beautiful work, the Adam Burrells, the Ernesto Casillas, oh my gosh, the list goes on and on and on. I can't think of them all now, but there are so many kids who are coming up, and I am just such a fan of everything they're doing.
Well, you're still a kid too, and I
think this beard would suggest not. But thank you.
In spirit.
Yeah.
I love you so much. I'm so grateful that you talked to me today and shared all of this amazing knowledge with everybody. And I look forward to seeing you in person
very soon. Very soon.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to our conversation. I know it was packed with information and history and wonderful philosophies. And if you enjoyed it, please share with me. Tell me what you got out of it. I hope it starts great conversations between you and your friends and peers. And if you didn't know about Naomi Sims, I hope you're Googling right now. I want to hear from you. What did you love hearing about? Please share your thoughts and weigh in on social because it makes it all worth it. And these conversations should start deeper conversations and more conversations. And that would make me so fulfilled to know that that's happening. So let me know and keep listening, and I'll see you next week. Look Behind the Look is a Vinyl Foot production, written by me, your host, Tiffany Bartok, produced by Jace Bartok, edited by Nicole Tucker. If you're interested in learning more, find our video version on the YouTube channel Look Behind the Look podcast. There you can see rare photos and clips from our guests. And please follow us on Twitter at LookBehindPod and Instagram at LookBehindTheLook. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. And tell your friends and spread the word. You can subscribe to us on iTunes or any podcatcher of your choice. Thanks for listening to Look Behind the Look.